Within this video, I'll be covering in detail how to prepare, package, and submit your cards to PSA for grading. Now, it should be noted that this guide is applicable worldwide, whether you're from the USA, Canada, Australia, or any other part of the world, you will be able to use this guide. Now, I intend for this guide to be accurate and something you can actually come back to at any time whenever you want to grade your cards. However, if there's a specific section you'd like to see, I have added video chapters in case there's a specific area you need clarification on. Though if it is your first time grading cards, then I recommend watching the entire video because there's a few details when submitting to PSA that's very important to keep in mind. You know, a question that comes up with a lot of people considering grading their cards is, should I even bother grading my cards? Now, if you're on the fence of grading your cards, I personally highly recommend it. Grading your cards provides the closest thing we have to an objective truth between buyers and sellers. It provides a score that is done by a reputable company. Grading your cards can add huge amounts of value to your collection, and above all, it actually encloses your cards and protects them. So because of this, as someone who invests in collectibles, I really recommend card grading. Now, this guide covers PSA grading specifically. You can choose which company you want to grade with, though I personally prefer PSA. I like their user interface and transparency throughout the grading process. Okay, now with that out of the way, in order to submit your cards to PSA, you will need a PSA account. I won't be guiding you how to do this in today's video. It's super straightforward, so make sure you've made an account in order to submit. Now, to submit your order to PSA, you will need scissors, rubber bands. You will also need card savers or semi-rigid top loaders. Do not use regular top loaders. PSA specifically asks for semi-rigid top loaders. And if you're wondering why that is, it's because semi-rigid top loaders treat the top loader like a vacuum, and this prevents the card from moving around during transit. Now, you'll also need cardboard cutouts, which you can DIY. They need to be slightly larger than the size of the card saver. And finally, you'll need elastic bands and a Ziploc bag. I'll add all this within the description of the video as well, so you can easily see this if you need to. And also, I just want to say, if it is your first time here, if you love Pokemon collecting and investing, my name's Phil. I run this Pokemon investing and collecting YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to stay up to date with Pokemon content. I'd honestly love to have you on board. Now, before getting into this guide, some practical pro tips will be very useful to anyone submitting to PSA for their first time. First, it should be noted that PSA is quite strict with its operations and it values its time tremendously. So much so that PSA will upcharge you if forms are submitted incorrectly or if your cards are out of order. So if you add time to their operation, you will be charged for that. Thankfully, if you follow this video, you will avoid all these problems. So pro tip number one, before you even start your submission, ensure to bundle up any duplicate cards you have. Here you can see I have multiple EB game stamped Umbreon promos that I'm submitting. So I've organized all of them to be grouped together. Now, pro tip number two, make sure the cards and the submission form are in the same order. If your cards are in a different order than your submission form, an additional fee will apply. So I actually always organize my cards order before I even start a submission. Now, pro tip number three, make sure you know all the little details of your cards. Triple check this. Is it a first edition? Is it in a different language? Is it a Master Ball Reverse Holo? Is it a Pokemon Center stamped exclusive card? Because if you submit this information wrong, you probably can guess what's gonna happen, and you probably guess right, it's an upcharge fee. Now, just a little note, right? There's a huge trend where you'll hear people say you need to add pull tabs to help the graders pull out your cards. I'm not sure where this started, though this is not necessary, and PSA actually asks you not to do this on their official video, and the reasoning is not stated, though one can assume it slows down their operation, so please don't add any extra effort for that. It makes no difference and it could potentially slow down your grading process. Now, one thing a lot of people wonder is, will my card score well, or is this PSA 10 worthy? I found we usually like to be overconfident with the quality of our cards, so it's really good to get a second opinion. But if you just want to get a community's opinion, there's actually a whole grading section on my channel's Discord server. Feel free to post a picture of your card, take a photo of the front and back with good lighting, get some opinions on the Discord. I find if you're new to grading cards, it's good to connect with a community of experienced collectors who can give their own 2 cents. The server invite is in the description of this video. All right, now let's actually get into how to submit an order. All right, so submitting on the website. So on here, I am on psacard.com/submit. So once you have your account created, you're gonna be prompted here. And then when you're on this page, you just click start. So once you're on this screen, you're gonna see a button that says new submission, all you do is click there and you're going to be prompted here with what selections to choose. Here is where you need to be specific. As I mentioned with PSA grading, you just want to be very specific with what you choose. So as you can see here, you can choose trading cards, oversized trading cards, like if you've got jumbo Pokemon cards, coins and pins, packs, whatever you are grading. For this example, we are grading trading cards. So I'm going to be choosing trading cards and you're going to click select and continue. On here, you're going to have a little bit of different selections you can choose from. Now, for example, the main one that you're probably going to choose is grading, and that's going to give you a preview on the right-hand side of what your label is going to look like. Now, depending what you're doing, you may need to choose different selections. Now, it's very common, I assume that most people will just be choosing grading, but you can also see that there is an autograph dual service. Maybe you have a card that was autographed by an illustrator or by a voice actor. In this circumstance, you want to select that to be authenticated. Then also you have other options such as review, which is if you've got items that were previously graded by PSA and you think they deserve a higher grade, you can choose that. You've got the crossover service, so if you've got some cards from other graded companies, you can send them over to get a crossover. And you've also got reholder, which is items previously graded by PSA that you want to be encapsulated in a new holder. So you have a few different services, right? The main one we're doing is with grading, and we can see the summary and the preview that we get on the right-hand side. Now, if you are a Collector Club member, you do get a trading card special, which is around $14.99 per card, but it does have a 10 card minimum. Because it's so expensive to send from Australia, I personally always go for the Collector Club option, and I am a Collectors Club member because it is much more cost effective for me to send 20 to 30 cards to get graded rather than 1 or 2. And if you are doing it internationally, I probably recommend saving up to do a bulk submission rather than doing 1 or 2 cards. The shipping alone costs you a lot of money, so you may as well bundle it all together. Now, there's obviously a few different services. The one in particular I am choosing is Trading Card Game, TCG, and non-sports bulk. Just so you know, it will show you how many business days it will take for it to happen. It will also show you the max insured value of each card, and it also shows you how much each card will cost to grade. That is in USD. Now, if you're wondering what that max insured value means, that means if something happens during the grading process, maybe a card gets damaged, you are insured $200 for every card. So if you are submitting like a Moonbryon, maybe you want to go for a higher level of service because, then your insurance will cover more than $200. But for the cards I'm submitting, I won't really need more than that anyway. Now, here we are on submitting your card. PSA literally has an entire database of every card, though it is up to you how you search for it. Now, to make searching cards easier, I've compiled a little checklist for you. To make this as simple as possible, you want to make sure you know the year it was released and the set the card is from, along with the card's specific code, which can be found in the bottom corner of most cards. Also, be sure to know the specifics if it's a first edition or a unique stamped promo. If you know all these details before submitting, then your PSA submission will be incredibly easy. For the example I've got here, I thought I'd show you how I'm going to search for these 3 different cards. I'm going to be searching for the Sylveon V alternate art from Evolving Skies, the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved, and finally the Pikachu full art from Surging Sparks. Now, as I said, if you know all the details of your card, this is super easy. So the first thing we want to do, we've got the Sylveon here that we are searching for, okay? So the first thing I'm doing when searching for this Sylveon, I know that Sylveon is from 2021. I know it's from Pokemon, and I know it's from the set Evolving Skies. Now you can see the database will start churning out what it has and the information it has. Now, the next step to do this, I know it's a Sylveon, so I'm gonna write Sylveon V. And as you can see, each card has that specific code in the bottom. For Evolving Skies in particular, these cards had it in the bottom left, and that's 184/203. All I'm gonna do is write 184. Now I've wrote 184, and you can see that it comes up with a few different options. Now, you do get a preview. So you can see here, it's got the normal Sylveon V, not the alternate art, right? If I go down here, I can see that is the correct card for submission. That is my Sylveon V. Now, pro tip as well. Sometimes you will get French options or Italian cards. What you need to do in this preview, it's very important, is just read the effect of the card. So there I can see it says Dream Gift. Make sure that it's all in the correct language, because sometimes, it's very common that you might write Sylveon V, but you might get a different language. And if you put that in, you will get an upcharge fee. Now, here I'm going to click there and I've got the Sylveon. I can see the quantity I'm submitting is 1. and that's all I'm doing. Now I can also click optional customize max insured value. Like I said, if I was sending maybe a Giratina V or a Moonbryon, I'd maybe put I want $1,000 insured, but then again, that will increase the grading cost as well. For this, I'm insured max up to $200 and it is $15 per card. Now the next one on the list is the Magic Carp. Now exact same thing. The first thing we're doing is the year. So I know this is from 2023. I know it's Pokemon and I know it's from Paldea Evolved, which is the set. I also know it is a Magic Carp and I also know that the code here is 203. And there I can see the reference for Magikarp, Expert Splasher, and also on my card, I can see it says Expert Splasher. Now, this card in a PSA 10 can be around $600-700 USD. So maybe here I'd want to insure my card for a little bit more. Considering it's a raw card, I'm happy to insure it for $200 and I can click save. Now, the next one is the Pikachu EX from Surging Sparks, and same thing here. I know this card's from 2024. I know it's Pokemon. I know it's Surging Sparks, and I know it is a Pikachu, and I know that the code is 219. So right here, I can see that there's the French card. It's very easily, I can see the top says Pikachu EX, but if I didn't read the effect of the card, I wouldn't see that that wasn't in English if I was rushing. So you got to be careful not to get a different language, right? And also now I can see that the English version says Pikachu EX, and it has the effect Resolute Heart, and I can also see on my card it does say Resolute Heart, and I know that's the correct version, and then I can also put that in and I can click save. Now I'm going to do that for all the other cards that I'm submitting today, and once I'm done I'm going to come back here and show you what to do. Now once you're on the shipping and billing section, you're going to get some other options. For example, purchase a prepaid label. That is for US specifically. If you are doing it internationally like I'm doing, you are going to want to click ship on your own. Now also you do get a few after service options if you want, such as send all your items to PSA Vault or sell all your items on eBay. But I assume that most people will be clicking ship items back to me, which is what you want to do. Just when you click that, you will see the section for your address. Make sure that is all correct before doing any of this. You don't want your cards getting sent to the wrong address. Make sure it's all the right country and everything is checked off for this. Now, another thing just to note as well, that every country has different duty and import fees. Now, you are not charged whether or not you have a $3,000 card that got graded. You are charged on the service for your duty fees. For example, in Australia, if your whole grade submission cost more than $1,000, then here in Australia, we do pay a duty fee for over $1,000. Every country is different. Make sure to research your own. Now, once you're done, it will say your submission is complete. But the main thing is you do want to print your submission forms and label. That's very important. Or once you've got all your submission forms printed, you would have noticed that there was a little section to cut out a barcode. What you want to do is you want to cut out that specific barcode and tape it to the side of your postage box, because once this comes into PSA, they will scan that. Make sure not to put any sticky tape on top of the barcode. So you will see that is the first thing you should do. Once that's all done, you want to start packaging your order. The main thing you want to do is you want to cross-reference and make sure everything's in the same order as your submission form, which I've already done. Now, once that is all there, I'm going to now prepare this to get packaged. So you've got your cardboard sleeves. Very simple how to do this. All you do is you put these on top like so. And then the next section, what you want to do is you want to place these on top like so. Then you have your elastic bands, and all you're going to do, you just take your time with it. You just want to go slowly. You don't want to like now tighten up too much or too crazy to kind of squish the cards. You just want to kind of put this in so it protects the cards. And during transit, if the box kind of moves left or right or up and down, the cards are kind of protected by these cardboard cutouts. And all you want to do is you want to just grab it like that and push one and put it on like so. Now, like I said, you don't want to do some crazy, too much, double tight spins or anything like that. You just want it to be enough to hold that together so it is sturdy. So you got to just imagine if it is moving in transit. All right, that's looking pretty strong to me. That's looking pretty sturdy. I'm now happy to put that in the box. Once you're happy with that, you just lay it down with a bit of bubble wrap. Open up your Ziploc bag. Grab your submission forms along with your graded cards, and you want to place that in like so. Just as a little pro tip as well, if you are sending internationally, you do have 30 days from once you make your submission form for it to be received by PSA. I do recommend for anyone doing this internationally to express ship your parcel so you make that cutoff day. Now, there's probably one area that's really important to understand when grading, and that's to remember it's a time-intensive and expensive exercise. In my experience, if you are going to grade grade your cards, you want to submit your best cards to get most out of the cost, as it is a very expensive process. And I actually cover the 5 Pokemon investing mistakes within this video here, which covers a little bit on card grading. Within this video, I cover the common mistakes that newcomers make. If you're interested in Pokemon and would like to learn more, click that video that's appearing on screen and I'll see you there.